Yeah, so I'm just gonna, oop, are you, oh, there you go. Okay, we're on. Okay, hey everybody. It's another video testimonial. And this is Kelsey, and oh, they can see your name probably on it, so I apologize for that.
Fine.
But anyway, Kelsey's also my co-host on my radio show, so and I've been doing some work with her for, I don't know, what, 5 years, 4 years, 3 years?
Maybe about 4 or 5 years. 4 years, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and so we're going to do just a video testimony so I can put it up on the YouTube channel. So that's going to be it. So, um, recently also too, I started working on Kelsey's mom and her mom's old dog, because he needed some help and love from his old post-traumatic stress disorder. Dang. So anyway, so I'm gonna just kind of let Kelsey talk, and then I'll throw some questions at her if need be. So anyway, um, probably should talk about the osteopathic treatment recently.
You want me to talk about the recent stuff?
Yeah, the
Okay.
pelvis stuff and, like,
Yeah.
the outcome of that. And
Because that was, I think, my fourth session with you, but of the osteopath. My first two sessions with you were the shamanic reboots, and then we did an energetic session where you like looked into some stuff on more of the ethereal plane. But the most recent one was the osteopathic work, and the pelvic release. And oh, how, how do I?
just talk about what you're comfortable with talking about, because I'm watching you. There's stuff in there, so just talk about what you're comfortable with, and you can use generalizations if you want. Doesn't have to be like go deep within there.
Go deep within.
Some
Well, it
stuff
was
can be
help.
confidential, but it's up to you.
Well, what I really like about your work is that in a relatively non-invasive way, you're really good at getting to like the depths of things and being able to work through things, and like you can pick out the things I think that people aren't aware of necessarily. Or it was just nice in that session because it just like you just go right to the places, and the results are so immediate. And they stick and they last too. And I feel like every time that I've been able to do work with you, like each session is like built upon the next. Like it's not like you do work and then it's undone and you have to go back and redo it. It's like you do something, and then something is resolved, and then we're ready to go on to the next thing and on to the next thing. So I feel like I'm always progressively growing and progressively doing better. And I think with the reboots on top of it, because you rebooted me a couple of days ago, I just feel better and happy. Like I've just, even within some of the stresses that I've had to navigate over the last couple of days, like I've been in a much more grounded place. And after the osteopathic stuff, I just felt right afterwards, the thing that stood out was just, I just felt like I was in my body for the first time in a really long time. Everything just unified. Well, that part of it was cool. That, and you came to the house. That was convenient and stuff. So it's just, it's in a comfortable space. So you're,
Yeah, and
yeah.
with the pelvic stuff, especially with the osteopathic stuff, so many women have trauma in the pelvis. You can have sexual trauma, all kinds of different stuff, childbirth, you have a
Mm-hmm.
son, and just things that go on in there, and things that carry over from your mother and your grandmother, those are things that are also trapped in there. And women get things like, your hips are off for a long period of time. You get endometriosis, which is scar tissue, which is your body, when your pelvis is twisted and your uterus and all that, those goods in there change direction, the body has to build scar tissue on that stuff to hold it in the new place. Right, so it's not all jangling around, because gravity's not really holding it down like this anymore. It's got to be held to the side, because that's how the pelvis is. And so you get a lot of different scar tissue in there that obstructs the bladder, obstructs emotions, obstructs,
The hormones,
hormones.
yeah, because before before you did the work, just hormones were out of whack. Like my cycles, like just have progressively been getting more and more painful and just off. And then just after one session, I mean, like my my flow normalized itself and like went back to like its baseline, and that was kind of weird. Not just yeah, like it was just gone. And I feel like there's like just feel different inside of my body because you fixed like everything's just it's working how it should. And I think too, when things are off so slightly, like because like we met, I think the first session we did was when my son was 1, and so it's just I think we take for granted, especially as women. When I think my mom kind of emphasized or like pointed to this too, like we just adapt to it and we get used to our bodies being off and we get used to things being a certain way, and then things just begin to decay and corrode, and that becomes a norm, and it shouldn't be. Because
Yeah. And also how many people that, you seek out to try to help you, and, especially in, kind of more of the allopathic medicine industry, and that they don't really help you. They, in some cases can make you worse, or they like misdiagnose you of what your issues are. That's what I find a lot of, a lot of the people that I've worked on over the last 30 years, like people being diagnosed with MS that don't have MS. It's just they have a really enlarged herniated disc at the base of their spine, and their legs go numb and they can't feel their legs sometimes, and they can't move their legs sometimes. So the doctors never really actually look back there to see, what could be causing it. They decide to just give people medicine and misdiagnose people for things. And then, once you start taking, I always tell people, once you take the medicine or you take the surgery or whatever else, you can never go back. You can never go back. So it's always good to try to find people who actually can, hands-on help you with lots of, different things. So,
well, it's
um,
preventative stuff too, because I feel like a lot of what we address just with the simple pelvic stuff is preventing a lot of future complications from happening too.
well, look how much also it unblocked you.
Yeah.
I mean, even though, you've had some, crisis stuff going on, and you're handling it really well and calm, right? Because you're in your body, you're in your girlhood, you're in your pelvis, right? And you're facing the world, on your 2 feet. That's another big one that's really important with osteopathic, is making sure people are in both legs, 2 feet, so they can deal with things. But, like you got unblocked, you started moving ahead with transportation stuff.
Yep.
I mean, that was something that you were really held back on, having a
For
really hard time making a
a
decision about
while.
that. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so just even like, wheels being like feet, being able to move forward, just how much it unblocked in there, just things that you need to make decisions about in order to move forward. So you can, take care of yourself, get the things that you need.
Well, it surprises me with your work too, because after the first session, I don't remember exactly what I went in for as far as the reboot, but I feel like the reboot itself addressed other issues and other problems and other things. Like I stopped smoking cigarettes immediately after, like the cravings and this just like it just ceased almost instantaneously, and for like months and months and months it wasn't there. And then I could fall, like, I noticed myself falling back into old behavioral patterns, and then I could be more aware of like what my triggers are, what the things outside of me were that led to the unhealthy behaviors and things like that. So that part of it was kind of cool too. That was neat. Um, I
Oh,
think
is
I
there
lost.
any,
Oh, I lost sound. There you go.
is
Like,
there anything else that you'd like to add? So,
um, yeah. Well, one of the things that we had we've talked about or we've addressed through work and through like some of my own personal stuff, like when it comes to intergenerational things and therapies to help, like between me and my mom and things like that, or like even me and my son. And I think it's cool that there like the approach through the body and the approach through the type of work that you do is therapeutic on the relationship level as well, because it shifts the dynamics and shifts the energies. And so yeah, like you'd said something about like our energy extending what, like 64 or whatever, 74 layers beyond the sun, and just how expansive and interconnected we are. And so I can feel how like the blockages extend beyond the like physical me, the physical meat suit, and in getting to do the work with my mom and allowing those energies to expand, and then even into the dog, right? Like it creates like a whole system. It's not just like one person and the system within, but it creates like the community system as well. And so I'm really excited to see how we grow and how things evolve on the family level outside of that too. You know, when we can just work through our own like physical pains and what that will allow us to move through, and how like it will help prepare us for other like big family changes and things, and all the other like family stresses that have to come up, like my parent, my grandparents and things like that. But
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it's super important. That's why I like to go to people's homes, and I like to, I mean, obviously, on the online sessions too. Sometimes I'll have people walk me around where they live, their backyard and stuff like that, so I can get a general sense too of what's going on. Sometimes energies and things, you move into places and that stuff has to be assessed, for people's healing. But the whole generational thing is like super, super important. And that all the living beings are thriving, inside the system, like the old dog, and he's feeling better and happy. So people are laying down their stress, their post-traumatic events that have happened to them that the others don't know about. And then things are becoming more open, the body's becoming open, the mind's becoming open, the emotions are becoming open, and people can start to harmonize,
harmonize, yeah.
harmonize. um, and that way you are creating a frequency together instead of individual, like a caustic energy that's coming at you and from you towards each other. And so that kind of ceases, and then now you're starting to create frequency together and harmonizing, your environments.
Well, it
So
becomes real life, like it becomes real time, and everybody's much more present, so they're not responding and reacting to things that aren't real or imaginary or old or all that stuff.
yeah. And I think that's how, a lot of us, it's like we're just bumping into each other, and there's a lot of, caustic energy coming from everybody as you're bumping into each other. And so it becomes really confusing, and then we take things personally, we become insecure. But when we start sitting in our own self, then a lot of the stuff doesn't really bother us as much anymore, and we're more focused and stress free. So all right, well, thanks for coming on and doing a little video testimony. I'm trying to put more stuff out on my YouTube channel. I'm hoping too that I'm going to start putting more stuff on it for more education about osteopathic medicine in the future. But I like just went through this really huge transition, and it's just taking me a while to get it up and going. But anyway, but thanks so much.
Thank you so much. We're
Yeah,
we're all
thank you.
very grateful for you, and I'm just super excited to have you in my life and to keep doing work with you because you're fascinating. And I would love it if you did more educational stuff too. So
I'm working on it.
there's
I am.
so much in there's so much that you know that people don't know that they should know.
That's what I think.
I think
All
so.
right.
I agree.
Thanks, Kelsey.
Thanks.